And welcome back to another episode of the Fellowship of Fandom, the Rings of Power after show brought to you by Agents of Fandom. As always, I am one of your hosts, TJ, aka Fat Thor, and joining me is my co-host, Zen from the Listen 3000 podcast. And today we welcome our good friend Rose to the Fellowship today to talk about episode 4 of Rings of Power. Rose, my friend, how you doing?
I'm debating no glass. I'm gonna go no glasses. I'm good. I'm good, y'all. Yes, sir. Excited to talk. I like that we're calling it the Fellowship. Yeah, great episode. I'm definitely excited to be here as always. Appreciate my guys, everybody here killing it, what they do, and yeah, let's get into it.
Hell yeah, we're happy to have you, man. Again, welcome to the Fellowship. And before we get started, people might remember if they watched our House of the Dragon after show, Rose was a guest on that as well. And before we get started and going into this episode, similar to House of Dragon, I just want to start this off by just asking you, what's your relationship with Lord of the Rings? Did you hop on Rings of Power season 1? Were you a fan of the movies? Have you read the book? Like, what's your level of fandom? I feel like with Lord of the Rings, like you can go down a very deep hole with it.
Right, you can. All right, just on the real quick, I was definitely early Lord of the Rings, like Fellowship vibes. Like I read The Hobbit as a kid, and yeah, I was probably on the Fellowship like early when I was like 5, 6, 7, 8, and was a big fan as a kid. And definitely one of the movies that hooked me into cinema and got me into like that fantasy genre and that action adventure and just yeah, big Lord of the Rings fan, super big Lord of the Rings fan. Honestly, I love the Rings of Power. I think it is fire. I think Game of Thrones kind of helped bring it back because they saw there was an audience for that again, and yeah, I think it makes the movies better, and I think it adds to the lore super well, and I love it. I love everything about it. I know people were hard on the first one, and as a huge fan of both the books and the movies, I don't know, like I don't know how you couldn't really just enjoy seeing the Lord of the Rings at such a high scale, such great quality, the set design, the costume, the acting, the writing, the storyline. Like we're getting origin stories to like major characters. It's got everything for me.
I could not agree more, my friend. We talked about season 1 a bunch of times before, season 2 started. We've nerded out about it before. And again, totally agree. I mean, don't get me wrong, everything is not for everyone. Some people
Right.
probably, just is not for them, and that's completely fine. But a lot of the criticism I see online is just like crazy, I think. But
Yeah.
let's get into this episode because this episode is fantastic. Coming off of the strong 3-episode premiere that we had last week. And to get this kicked off, I just want to ask you guys, overall thoughts on the episode before we get into some of the nitty gritty. And Zen, I'll throw it off to you first because you literally just finished this like 2 seconds ago.
Nah, for sure. Nah, man, I enjoyed this episode a lot. It was action packed. It was a lot going on, man. Again, this season to me has been like it felt like they've been less on the exposition and more on like really getting to the shits. And like this episode was like proof of that. Like it really was like it was a lot of action. We got a lot of fights. We got the whites. We got we got the dark wizard. We got so many different cool aspects. Like again, like I was telling you last time, how I felt like this gave me like OG Game of Thrones, how like we jumped around a lot of different places. And this episode was no different. Like it was exposing us to new locations and new people and things of that nature. So I had a great time with this episode for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Old Game of Thrones vibes, and it doesn't show like we leave some storylines out of certain
hmm
episodes, and it
hmm
makes you like curious, and then they jump back to them in the next. It's
Exactly.
very very good, very Game of
Yeah,
Thrones, very good.
for sure.
Again, agreed all around. This episode definitely turns it up a little bit, I think. We get a lot of action. We get a lot of creatures in this episode, which I absolutely love.
Sure.
And I want to harp on your point a little bit more, Rose. And I think so the first 3 episodes, I said one of my not criticisms, but it felt like Numenor and the race of men kind of took a backseat to the elves in the first 3 episodes. But this episode, I feel like really turned around the pacing for me, and I think that they did a really great job with balance. They're doing a great job with balancing all the characters and like giving everyone
100%.
their time. So last episode was mainly Numenor and Khazad-dûm, and exploring them. And
Right.
this episode, we get back to the elves and their hunt for Sauron. We're introduced again to a lot of new creatures, some fan favorite characters. And to start this off, like I said, this is very heavily elf-centered episode. So we
Right.
got to talk about the elves and their kind of journey through this. We see Elrond and Galadriel are like totally butting heads, which we saw last week when Elrond kind of schooled Galadriel and was like, yeah, this is basically your fucking fault. And so I want to get your guys' thoughts on this kind of rift between them. Again, we see them kind of Elrond basically like doesn't listen to her the whole episode and straight up tells her like, yo, if you're getting visions from this ring, like we're not taking any orders that you get from this ring. And like if you're on that, you can leave right now. So Rose, I want to get your thoughts on this first. Elrond, Galadriel, you're a fan of the movie, so like they have a very long history and friendship. What do you think of, again, seeing them in this kind of very standoffish mode with each other?
I think I understand it. It's something I don't want to see go on for too long, though. I want to see him maybe like be able to fall back and give some trust and just be able to work on a more like level understanding. I think it's interesting to see as a fan of the movies and stuff and books. Like you might not really know. I guess like in the past, if they're gonna canonize this, we'll say canonize for Lord of the Rings universe. It would be yeah, it's good stuff. I feel like it's not the craziest plot point for me. Because like they're gonna figure it out at the end of the day. Like they got the same objective. He's just a little worried about the rings, which he should be, because Sauron made it. No Sauron this episode either, which I was fiending for him to pop up on screen. So damn, but that's why next week.
Dude,
But yeah,
Charlie Vickers is amazing.
I think it's cool, and I think they'll figure it out. I think it's not that. I don't think it's gonna last long.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, if you have seen the movies, you're a fan of the movies, we kind of know how, that ends. But I really enjoy this like seeing them again, like you said, they have the same goal, but just like they have totally different ways of looking at it. And something at least I felt like I noticed is Galadriel has definitely grown from season one. Like we see season one, she's very headstrong, which we talked about last episode, like rightfully so, but very quick to jump into the action. Like, I don't care, I'm going after Sauron. But I feel like this whole kind of dynamic that she's having with Elrond here, and her even letting him take the lead and be the commander of this little company, I think shows a lot of growth with her. I think in season one, she would have been like, well, screw you guys, I'm going to go by myself. Right. So I think even though Elrond's being a little bit of a dick, like it shows a lot of growth from Galadriel, that she's not just like running in headfirst. Zen, what do you think of this whole, again, rift between Elrond and Galadriel's growth?
Man, I think it's like Rose was saying, like I kind of understand it, you know what I mean, to an extent. But again, like it's a lot going on. So like I do hope they piece that up. Like I feel like at the end of the episode they kinda the events, I don't want to get too far ahead, but like I feel like at the end of the episode I kinda got a feeling like Elrond kinda was like, all right, yeah, I need to stop acting this way because like we're all here for the same reason. You know what I mean? Like we're all trying to do the same thing.
Right.
But Galadriel's growth, I definitely can see the difference from season one and to now. And y'all got like I'm sure y'all got a different perspective on her because I know she's in the movies and stuff like that. So like I know y'all see a bigger picture with her than I can. I'm really just getting to know this character now through these 2 seasons that we've seen so far. So like I'm definitely seeing her change and not be as hot headed and as on go as she was before. You know what I mean? And I feel like now like it's a lot less secrets because she was keeping a lot of secrets that first season, and now it's kind of like I feel like everything's out in the open, and like she doesn't have to be so aggy all the time about it. Like it's like, yo, we're all here together. You know what I mean? So it's like I feel like she's learning to trust and be more learn how to operate in a group and learn how to operate with all the other elves and stuff that are helping to try to figure out this goal against Sauron. You know?
Yeah, she learned how to play nice with all the
Yeah,
other
for
elves.
sure, for
Which
sure.
I mean, which reminds me, I think it's a really great parallel that we see in this episode. The very first episode of season 1, Galadriel is leading a different company, and in their journey, and we see they kind of mutiny against her. They're like, you're going too far. So again, the fact that she's now like just a part of this company, again, not taking that leadership role and accepting Elrond as the leader, I think, again, shows a lot from her. But I also want to shout out too. So we have Elrond, Galadriel, and they take 4 other elves with them. And so I want to shout them out real quick. We have Vorahil, who's played by Charlie Ricks. We have Rianne, who's played by Selena Liu. We have Deamor, who's played by Oliver Alvin Wilson. And then we also have Caimnir, I'm probably saying that wrong, played by Callum Lynch. And I thought that they were really great additions to this whole kind of journey that Elrond and Galadriel are going on as they make their way to Eregion. And later on, they come into some pretty big trouble. And again, going back to the introduction of a lot of creatures this episode, we're introduced to the Burrowites, who fans of the book will remember from the first book, Fellowship of the Ring. And a lot of people were a little upset that they weren't included in the Peter Jackson trilogy. A lot of people think that that's a pretty important chapter of the book, which also includes another character we're going to be talking about later. But so I thought that them bringing them into this show was, not only super cool, but kind of felt like it was righting a wrong, not a wrong, because, those movies are great. But again, it's cool to see them since they were excluded from the movies. And the action of this whole scene, I think, is just phenomenal. It's creepy, like super, just dark vibes, really like feels like the elves are in danger, which I feel like is kind of hard to do, especially when you have like 2 of your main characters, because it's like they have plot armor, right? But I thought it, like I said, the danger really felt real. But I gotta say, this definitely bothered me. I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? Come on. They had to kill the black elf first. Like my man Deamor. Seriously? Like, come on, dude. Like that should be like everyone should be conscious of that at that point, right? Like,
I don't think it's like that though, because you gotta think if they think like that, then they're thinking like that.
No, it's definitely not purposeful, but it's like they, when you're writing,
I can't
realize like, oh
you.
shit, Deamor, like we killed Deamor first, like maybe we should kill him second, right? I don't know.
I do kind of feel you. I thought it briefly when it happened. I was like,
I'm just like,
yo,
seriously?
I actually got a good point on this little elf company, because I do think they were good additions, but like 5 elves like to go get Sauron, like you're not really. That doesn't seem like it should have been like a 10 or 20 pack at least. Like, and they already lost 2 of them. I'm like, this not really. And then by the end of the episode, they're like, we're about to head back. I'm like, this is like a little scout party. Like y'all didn't realize really what this was.
Yeah, I think that's like what the original idea of it was, is they are like kind of a scout party. Like they're going to confirm that Sauron's in Eregion, right?
It's Sauron.
What?
It's Sauron. Like you're sending 5 elves.
Oh yeah,
that was kind of. And then my last point, my fault. My last point on it though,
go ahead.
Just the only how they found the horse, with the message at the Orcs Guild. I'm just kind of like, y'all, the elves, the only way of communication y'all got is like personal messenger. Like I feel like like Celebrimbor doesn't know how could he have not got that information?
Yeah, they need to get like ravens or something like.
Where's like the doves? They don't got pigeons or doves or something?
Like, pigeons is crazy.
Yeah, where the hell the pigeons are, bro?
Like I just feel like or even like a magical like fire like on some Harry Potter type
Yeah.
time. Like
Yeah, I mean
I
we
just
got hella magic in Middle Earth, so
I'm gonna let it go because like they need to like have that. Like of course the bridge was broken. I'm like.
hmm.
I'm gonna let it go, but I feel like there should have been a different way of communication, and then there should have been Sauron doing magic to block it, and then it would have made sense why they had to go there on foot. I
Yeah.
feel like no other form of communication seems like that's crazy, but we'll
I
let it
mean, that's a great point. Like you said, they don't got ravens or pigeons or anything, and
go.
that's
Yeah,
something we forgot to mention though. But like you said, they find the messengers from Gil-galad that were supposed to tell Celebrimbor about Sauron. So our man's Celebrimbor is just chilling. He don't know what the
yeah,
hell's going
yeah.
on. But
Damn, and they gave the doors rings, and we didn't.
it's all
All right, we can
unraveling.
keep it
Zen, what did you
going. The
think of
Burrow
this
Whites was
whole
crazy
action
too.
scene with the Burrow Whites and the Elven Company, all that good stuff?
I thought it was dope, man. You know what they reminded me of? They reminded me of Loki, Game of Thrones, the Whites and the White Walkers, but also
Mm-hmm.
they reminded me of uh what's the freaking movie, bro? Pirates of the Caribbean. The remember when the ship when they all
That's a
the
good
dead
shout. Black Pearl.
yeah the Black Pearl,
Mm-hmm.
yep. It reminded me
Yeah.
like of those two, like a mix between those two. Like
Mm-hmm.
the look of them and how they moved and stuff like that. Like I just thought back to that when I seen that scene. But I thought it was dope, man. That was an action packed scene. I wasn't again. I'm new to this, so I wasn't expecting any of that. Like I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like they gave me so much creature action this episode, like you were saying, bro. Like it
Yeah,
just was like a
was a
lot of
lot of creatures.
surprises for me. Like I'm like, yo, I wasn't expecting them to give. I wasn't expecting that at all,
I
and I
wasn't
thought it was
expecting it.
dope.
It
Yeah,
was
like
fire. Great
it
action
was, it
sequence.
was, it
You
was
got the one bull with the two swords. He chopped the hand. Galadriel's like getting dragged. Like
facts. Then the
they
chains, how they
nailed the
grabbing people with the
action.
chains, bro.
Yeah,
Like that was crazy. Like
That's what I
the
mean.
super
That's what
dope.
I
action in this
like.
show is top tier.
Yeah, that's what I mean by when I said like it felt like they were really in danger, right? Like I knew
Hmm.
Galadriel's not gonna die, but they just executed it so well where it really felt like exciting and like, oh shit, like are they gonna make it
They
out of
did.
this, right?
Yeah,
But
We
something
lost
else,
two elves.
yeah. Well,
They lost
do we
two.
lose two in that battle or
Yeah.
just
Oh well
Daemor?
the one got shot later. But
Yeah, true. Yeah,
it,
the elf company does not make out well in this
I'm just like
episode.
like 4 or 5 elves. I'm like y'all needed at least to send like a 30 pack, a 20 pack of elves. Like I just
Yeah,
think
like I
they
said,
could have made a
they
bridge of elves across the bridge.
hmm yeah, they do not turn out too well in this episode. But something so this is a point I wanted to bring up just very quickly because Rose, me and you talked about this, just talking about the show in general. And I saw a lot of people like making a big stink about this online, which
Yes,
I like do not understand at all.
I
But
don't either.
I want to talk about really quickly just like the orcs and like we saw I think it was last episode we see like the
Yeah,
little orc family and like they have a little
yeah,
baby and everything, and you
right.
brought up a really great point that I totally agree with, and you were saying how you really enjoying the kind of humanization of the orcs.
Yes, yeah. So if you want me to, I'll go in on it. But so I enjoy it because like I enjoy it because it just gives them more like it's cool to see like they weren't really pro Sauron and they were trying to be their own people. I have seen online some critiques on it being like the orcs were supposed to be dominions of evil and they weren't. And I kind of can see how like the counterpoint of humanizing them kind of takes away from them being the bad guy, but they could still be the bad guy at the end of the day because this is early on and we're gonna see them shift to get to being controlled by Sauron. So it's like more depth to them like being part of the corruption than this, and like I think that's more fire than them just being like openly down to slaughter people. It's kind of like when people were saying, "Oh, we don't have to think Isildur is dead. Like we know he doesn't die." But for the characters, it's important that they think he's dead because then it adds to how. So it's not necessarily about what we know, since like the end of result of the technical history of the universe, but for the characters, it's important to see how they're moving with that. thinking that he might be dead or things like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'll say too, again, I don't really understand why that pissed people off so much, but like people were kind of going nuts over it. And I'll say
They
from the
were.
books, Tolkien explicitly says in the Silmarillion that orcs, especially like after the fall of Morgoth and the rise of Sauron, that they like multiply like flies, like they like reproduce like crazy. And so it's like, how would they do that if not like by having
Right.
children, right? And he also
Right.
explains a little bit too how like yeah, the orcs obviously end up following Sauron and like that they're like his minions. But he explains how like the orcs don't really fuck with Sauron like that. Like they're like basically his prisoners. And like
Right.
yeah, they serve him, but they mostly serve him out of fear. And he describes it as like
That makes sense.
Sauron is the ultimate like crafter of their demise and like of all their suffering.
That
So
makes
I
sense.
think the show is like portraying that really well by again kind of humanizing them a little bit. And I mean they were just kind of shoved into this world like they were not supposed to be created, and
Right.
like they just kind of got fucking left. But Zen, I know again you don't have like the movie history with it, and we got a little bit of orcs in season 1. We're definitely getting a
Mhm.
lot more this season. But do you have any thoughts on the little orc family and like them having a little bit more depth to them than just being big scary monsters?
I think that's dope because I think for any quote unquote villain, that gives it more complexity, that makes it more interesting. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
when you
Right.
can understand them a bit more than it's just I'm just gonna be evil for evil's sake. You know?
Right. I
Um,
agree.
uh, I do think this is kind of funny, but like I would like to see like yo, what is their day to day life like? Like this little orc family, what do they do? Like do they go
Right.
get food? Like
Playing cards
I feel
and
like
shit.
I'm like once you introduce that concept, now it's like now I'm intrigued. Like all right, so what does this orc family do on a Wednesday? You know what I mean? Like in Middle
That
Earth,
would
like what
be
are they doing? You
interesting
know?
if they had like an orc character that we were following around.
Yeah, yo, that actually would be dope. That would be super
Yeah.
dope just to get that perspective. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I feel
It's
like we
technically
probably haven't
supposed
got
to
that
be
before.
Adar,
Is that the
but like
elf guy that's like leading them low
he's
key?
the
Yeah, the
leader.
leader.
He's the
Yeah, yeah,
leader.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So
Okay,
it's not like we're getting foot soldier vibes.
because he's like part elf though, right?
Yeah, so that I was just about to
Orcs
say that
are.
uh that's what makes I almost said Adar. Adar, my one of my favorite characters of this entire show is so like you said Zen. So Adar was originally an elf. And what happened was the original bad guy Morgoth, who they reference in the show, we talked about a bit in episode 1, he basically stole elves, or either stole them or like corrupted them, like persuaded them, kind of like Sauron did, with like the promise of making them powerful and basically sowing doubt in them with their like loyalty to the gods, the Valar. And so he takes and I'm not gonna say it might be a spoiler. He in the books it explains how he takes elves and he corrupted them and like tortured them for years and years, and that's how he created the race of orcs, and that's how orcs
Wow.
even came to be, is he corrupted these elves to evil. And so that's why I say like orcs shouldn't exist. Like they were not created in this world like men, elves, dwarves. They were created by evil, corruption, and torture.
Mm.
So Adar is one of those original elves that was taken by Morgoth and was tortured and corrupted. So that's why all the orcs call him Lord Father, and he calls them his children, because they kind of literally are like they were made from they don't like really explain in the books how that process worked. Like, did he reproduce with something? You know what I mean? I don't know how that works, but that's where the orcs come from. So that's
Oh
why, like I
wow.
said, Adar is like I think one of the most interesting characters of this whole show, and adds a whole new dynamic to the orcs and how they operate and like what they're all about. So I love that. That's my little spiel about
Did
that.
they switch the actors?
Yes.
for
So
him?
it's a new
For him?
actor this season. This season he is being played by.
I can't really tell the difference, to be honest.
Yeah, I gotta say. So his name is Sam Hazeldine, and again, one of my favorite characters of the show, and I think he is a phenomenal actor. I think the original guy's name is Joseph Maui,
He
something
did good
along those
too.
lines.
He was good
He
too.
was phenomenal, and again, one of my favorites. And going into this season, I was like, it's going to be hard for this new guy to step into that role because I thought he was so good in season 1. But
Right.
I think this dude kills it. I think he brings
Yeah.
like more of an intensity than the original
Yeah.
guy does, and like
Hmm.
more of a presence.
Yeah.
But speaking of new characters, we got to talk about one of the biggest characters in all of Middle Earth. And this episode, we are introduced to fan favorite character Tom Bombadil. The stranger is looking for Nori and Poppy and comes across Tom Bombadil, and he's just a merry fellow. He's singing his songs, he's gardening, doesn't really give much mind to the stranger at first, and then he gets swallowed up by a big ass tree. Kind of going back to the fantasy elements of this that I'm loving.
Right. Right.
And so before we get more into Tom Bombadil, I just I don't know, Rose, maybe you are aware of him. Zen, I know you have
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
idea
Yeah. Yeah. He's in the
who
book.
that is. So Zen, I want to give your thoughts on this first. When you first are introduced to Tom, what were you thinking? Were you like, who the hell is this guy, dude?
Yo, you know who he reminds me of, bro? Hagrid. He reminds me of Hagrid from
Dude,
Harry Potter.
yes,
Yeah, yeah, like
very Hagrid vibes.
yeah, like even his
Mhm.
demeanor, like it was just like this jolly
Yeah.
guy who was like just in the middle of nowhere and was like, yo, I'll help you, you stranger. But like, yeah, like I thought it was dope. It was interesting. I feel like he's like a cool character. I feel like for the stranger, because I feel like he knows a lot more. Obviously, he knows more than the stranger knows. So I feel like those scenes that they got was a little exposition to fill him in on some of the things that we already know about the Dark Wizard and where he came from and like what he's doing right now. So
The Dark Wizard.
I'm really interested to see how we connect the dots next episode
Ormond.
because bringing everybody together because I feel like that's coming like with him and then we got Nori and Poppy and all that stuff. So I thought it was dope though. He was a dope character.
Dope character. That's one of this is the Nori Poppy stranger situation is one of my favorite arcs.
Yeah, I love it. So
I
I love that
agree.
stuff. So I was like missing them last episode because I'm like, yo, where are they
Mhm.
at? So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
yeah.
glad we
Just
got
the
him back.
origin story of the hobbits and most likely Gandalf, origin story, Hobbit, origin story. Like, come on, that it's too fire. Like, it's
Mhm.
too fire.
And they're just like so adorable. Like I love like they're all just like
So
so like
wholesome.
fun. Yeah, it's like wholesome and like they just like they're on an
Right,
adventure, eating
right.
bugs and like
But
looking at
it's kind of like
stars.
the
I
most.
love that.
It's like the most important. It's like it's not the most important, but on the back, it's kind of like the Jon Snow storyline. Like they're building up, like Brandon Stark, Jon Snow. Like by the time season 7 comes around, he's the three-eyed raven. But at first, you're like, who cares? Who cares about this cripple kid story?
Mhm.
But like, it's kind of slowly. It's like in the background, the most important thing. Low-key.
Yeah, I 100% agree with both you guys. Stranger and the Harfoots are some of my favorite parts. And later on we get a little bit more of Tom and the Stranger, and Tom knows a lot. He knows a lot about wizards. He knows a lot about what's going on, and he explain when the Stranger asks who he is. He has some very interesting things to say, and these are actually things ripped straight from the book from Fellowship of the Ring, where we meet Tom Bombadil in the books, and he says that he's eldest, and that's basically the only explanation he gives. And he says that he was there before the stars. He calls the stars newcomers, and he says that he was there before the river and the trees, and remembers the first raindrop. And so I want to talk a little bit about Tom Bombadil because if people who haven't read the books, they probably have no idea who he is. And again, this is another character similar to the Burrow Whites that was left out of the Fellowship of the Ring movie. He's in the Fellowship of the Ring book, actually the chapter right after the Burrow Whites. So it kind of makes sense that we got both of them introduced in this episode. But Tom is a straight up mystery. Like we talked a little bit about in episode 1, and if people are, super deep into Lord of the Rings, they know that the lore and the history is absolutely insane. Everybody has a history, every name, word has a whole, long meaning behind it. Tom Bombadil is one of the only characters in Middle Earth that has absolutely no origin story. And Tolkien even explicitly has said that he purposely made Tom Bombadil as a mystery, and a mystery that will never be solved. He's Tom Bombadil. And so there's a lot of theories of who or what he could be. A lot of people think that he is the physical manifestation of Middle Earth itself. And he's just like again, he's eldest, right? He's just on a whole nother level of everyone else. But we also learn here that the Dark Wizard actually came to him first, and he, met with the Dark Wizard, and he basically tells the stranger that up until now he has failed every test that he's had, and that if he doesn't pass his next test, there's not going to be a second one. And so that kind of sets the stranger off on this whole, on this new kind of adventure. So Rose, I want to get your thoughts. I know you have your theories on who the stranger is and the Dark Wizard. So were you kind of aware of this whole, Bombadil being such a mystery? What did you think about him? I mean, we already talked like his introduction, but what did you think about him, like as a character, explained a little bit, and his whole, again, like, what do you think he's going to teach the stranger? What is he going to show him?
Okay, heard. Yeah, I knew a little bit about him. Like, I read up some stuff from him, and I read the first book, but it was a while ago. But like, I read some, yeah, like he's just a super magical, weird character for some reason, like you're saying. But on the show tip, what I like about this character and what I like about a lot of the characters is I love the writing. Like, I like the dialogue a lot. It's fun, it's whimsical, it's very like Yoda-y. It's very like I really love the writing and dialogue, especially his. It's very fun. Um, I think he's just gonna level him up. Quick mentor moment. He's gonna get him his staff. He's gonna get him his staff. That tree bark that he was pulling, it was kind of looking like that staff. You know what I'm saying? It was looking like that OG staff with the wood. He just carves it up a little bit probably. But I think he's gonna get him his staff. Quick level up moment, and he's gonna give him his name. We already kind of know. Come on, it's got to be the man. My favorite character from the ship.
I'll say we haven't really gone too deep into this, and I think I'll save my rant for another future episode. But say with the stranger, I think he's a blue wizard. I stand on that theory. But I will say, like, the show is so heavily pointing us towards Gandalf.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many, the nose thing in season 1, like you said, the branch of old Ironwood totally looks like the Gandalf staff. In the first episode, when he sees those staffs like flashing, one of them is Gandalf. They're for sure pointing us in that direction. But again, I want to stand on my theory just to I'm sticking with it. And I just think it would be cool if they really just like flip the script on us, right? Like they are, like, again, there's no doubt that they're purposely laying those eggs for us to notice. But I think it would be cool if they're doing that on purpose to, again, like kind of subvert our expectations a bit.
I think it would just ruin it because now, like, you got me thinking I'm hyped for something, and then it's just this guy I don't care about. And then
they are starting to get a little too deep into it, like with the symbolism and stuff. I will again. I am not saying it's most likely.
The other bull too, the Dark Wizard, the beard and the mustache, and he was all like, "Bruh, come on."
Yeah, like again. Totally I'm not saying anybody is wrong. Like, it's most like I'm most likely wrong. But again, I'm just sticking with it. But Zen, what did you think about, again, like, all the things that Tom knows? What do you think he's gonna teach the stranger and the Dark Wizard too? Like, what do you like? He says in there, we forgot to mention that basically the stranger is gonna have to face Sauron and the Dark Wizard both. So again, what do you think that Tom's going to teach the stranger?
I agree with Rose. I feel like it's gonna be a level up. I feel like he's gonna like. I guess it's gonna be some like like a little montage. I'm sure, or some type of. He's gonna give him some
Type of
games, some
training
information.
montage,
Yeah,
right? The
like some.
classic, right?
Rocky, like pushing boulders
He
and
gonna
stuff.
he gonna have the
He's
staff
like
going,
doing
pushing up the
he's like
staff. You
doing
know what
some
I mean?
magic with the staff.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I feel like we're gonna get a different stranger after Tom is done. Kind of training him up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, cause it's dope watching his progression in the show so far. Cause it's like you got this character that knows nothing. He didn't even know how to speak in like the
Right.
language that everybody else spoke into. Now, like I feel like we're about to really get more information about who he is and what he's capable of doing. Cause like he's so OP, bro. Like, and he don't even know how to control his power yet. So imagine like when he really knows how to control what he can do. You know what I mean?
Bro
And
didn't
and,
even
and then
know. Oh, go ahead.
no, go. No, go.
I was say, bro didn't even know how to talk season 1. Like he
Exactly.
couldn't even form a sentence. And
Fire.
I'll just really quickly before we move on to our next point, I gotta throw some book knowledge out, of course, but again, this isn't spoiler. We don't know who the stranger is. It is still a mystery, but we do know that he is a Istar, which means wizard. Like we know he is a wizard. And from the books, they explain that when the wizards came to Middle Earth, that they come with very fresh knowledge. Like they don't really remember much. They just have very brief glimpses of where they like the Valar and Valinor.
Yeah, they're like reincarnation types almost.
Yeah, so when they come to Middle Earth, they are not like infants, but like they don't know shit. So, like you guys said, it's very interesting seeing the stranger, learn things, and like we see his memories are starting to come back. Like he's having flashes of different visions and stuff. So I really love that. And I think the show is portraying that really well, even though we don't know exactly who he is. But next up, this episode's so great. I feel like every point I'm like, I love this. I love this. I love this.
Bro, this show is really good. This show is amazing.
But
the pacing, everything. My fault.
100% agreed. And we got to talk about the Stoors. So we just talked about how we love the Harfoots and Nori and Poppy. Well, we get a lot more, not Harfoots, but Stoors, which are one of the 3 subsects of hobbits, which all of them kind of become just hobbits. But in this time, there's, 3 different kinds, Harfoot, Stoors, and I can't remember the name of the other one. But they're chilling, dude. Like they're everything you love about the Harfoots, except they don't travel. Like they have a village, they have a little home. We're introduced to another Stoor, Mary Mac, also that they call him Nobody because his parents couldn't figure out a name for him. And then their leader is called Gundabal, and she also fantastic. I thought
like
she was
her,
so fun.
She was dope.
No nonsense. Like she's like, oh, y'all with the Dark Wizard, get the hell out of here, right? And so I want to get your guy before we talk about kind of one of the other big reveals with the Stoors in this. I just want to get your what do you guys think about introduction of the Stoors? So again, we just talked about how we love the Harfoots. Rose, I'll throw it off to you first.
I like it. It's fun. It's cute. Like I think it's my least favorite part of this episode. I think when the 2 main hobbits and the wizard are together is when that kind of chemistry and unit is best. I get he's doing his little solo mission thing right now, so they needed sort of like a side plot, but I think it's the very bottom tier of side plots for me right now. Like I want them just to like get to the Dark Wizard, get captured. I want Gandalf, the wizard, the stranger, to come save him after he leveled up. Like I know that's gonna happen. I feel like that's where it's going. I just think I think it was kind of random, even though I do like seeing the other Hobbit world, and it just felt like the least interesting part of the episode.
Zen, what do you think? Did you enjoy the Stoors, or did you feel like it was a little side mission or like a low point of the episode?
It did feel side missionish to me, but I love them though. I loved the Stoors. I
I
loved
feel
their
you.
leader.
It's
I like,
fun. It's
yeah,
cute.
yo, it was,
I feel
it,
you.
and I thought it was dope too. Like, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but like, just
No, go ahead. That's where we're going next. So go
okay,
right into it.
all right,
Yeah.
all right. Just learning about their connections, like hold up, real quick. What are they like? The Store and the Harfoots, like, are they?
They're hobbits.
Because I guess they're hobbits. Okay, so I can just
Yeah,
use
they're
that blanket term.
Yeah, you can use
ancestors of
that.
hobbits, but you can use hobbits is
Okay, all
perfectly
right.
fine. Yeah.
Just see their connection together, like when she says who she is, and then like she starts showing Nori the stuff on the wall, and how she was like, "All right, did you come to help bring us back to what I don't what is it, the
Yeah, they got a whole
Surats?"
like prophecy. They call it the Suzat.
Yeah, the Suzat. And then like how like Nori was just like, "Nah, we just kept going," and like she started crying, bro. Like, it was like, damn, like this shit get deep. Like, I'm like, that's wild. She was like, "Yeah, we don't have a home," and I'm like,
Yeah.
damn. I wonder if they're gonna bring it all together, though. Like, they connect them all, like the Stories and the
Mhm.
Harfoots later in the show or something like that. That would be dope. But I love
Yeah.
them though so far. Yo,
I agree. Again, I've said like I love, this moment, but I really think like this was my favorite moment of the episode. Not like I can agree with
We're in
Rose
different.
that it
I
was
see why you say that.
it was side mission. I'm talking this part specifically, like the prophecy of the Stoors. Like,
Of the
I
Shire.
really liked that. I thought that was super cool. Like, we learned that what was Sadik from season 1, the leader of the Harfoots, his ancestor was a Stoor, and he had like visions and dreams of one day the Stoors finding this paradise where they could live, and they would live in holes in the ground that they could make like super fast. And like Zen said, they call it the Suzat. And cool little Easter egg, again, coming from the book knowledge, that I think just really adds a lot to this whole thing, is so Suzat is actually the Western word, which also is known as like the common tongue, just basically English. Or Suzat is in sorry, I'm mixing up my words. Suzat is an old Dunedain word, which is like the original men for the Shire. Suzat means the Shire. Like, that's
Yeah, I figured.
literally the definition of it. Suza, the root of the word, it means like place or dwelling. So I thought that was really cool that they included that. Again, just like the term Suzat, and again, like it actually has roots to the languages of Middle Earth, and again, it is the Shire. And again, I think it just adds so much context to that whole thing, adds a lot of context to our hobbits that come in to an age later, hundreds of years later. And it shows, we kind of talk about this a little bit in episode 1, that the whole thing with hobbits is they don't leave the Shire. Like, they're like totally content with just like chilling, smoking their what's it called, long bottom leaf, and eating good food. So to see that like they originated as these kind of nomads, and like they were searching for this home, I think just adds a whole different layer to the whole Hobbit thing.
I agree. Do love that. I do love that. I agree.
So, Rosa, do you have anything to add with the
No, I
prophecy and
agree.
the Shire
I
and all
agree.
that?
No, I just agree. I'm just saying I agree with you. I like it,
Mhm.
the depth to the lore of the hobbits, and it's gonna be exciting to see when they land there, and it's like they're like, "This is it. It's gonna be
Yeah.
fire."
I wonder if we will see that in, I mean,
We
not this
will.
season, but
No,
like,
no, it's gonna be
future
it's gonna
seasons.
be later.
Like, they arrive at the Shire. That'd be fire. That would be so
yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, and it's all hilly. It's like not constructed yet, but like you
Mhm.
see the vision.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I would
I think
freak
we're
out. That
gonna.
would be so cool.
That I think we're 100% gonna. We're gonna see some things that in this show that like we saw flashbacks of. Like we're gonna see Mount Doom again. We're gonna see
Oh yeah.
them fight. Like it's gonna be fine.
It's gonna
Yeah,
get freaking
it's
crazy.
good.
But speaking of crazy, which I'm not even gonna say it. But I'm not even gonna say it. But moving on, another great moment. Speaking of creatures and new introduction of characters in this episode, we meet up back in the Southlands with Arondir and Isildur. They're looking for Theo, who got captured last episode.
Worst character.
You don't like Theo? I like him a lot
worst.
more this season than I did season 1. For
I agree
sure.
with you that he's better this season, but he's still
because he's been captured.
Yeah, true.
He's
He's not.
no screen time.
He's in a cage just chilling, so he's not as annoying.
Yeah,
but we get
horrible.
Some Ents. We're gonna say something else, Rose? Sorry.
No. I was just laughing at myself.
Yeah, but we get Ents in this freaking episode. People who are fans of the movies will remember Treebeard, our boy, our good old tree boy. And again, Zen, you have not seen the movie, so you have no idea what an Ent is, what the hell these trees are. So I want to get your reaction to that first. Like, what was your reaction to the Ents?
Bro, I was so shocked at what was going on. Like it was like, yo, they were doing this one thing, and then the tree started smacking people. I'm like, all right, hold on, what's going on? Like it came out of nowhere. Like he smacked,
that's
like
so
he just smacked
fire
I'm
for
like,
you. That's
bro,
so
I'm like,
fire for you.
It's crazy. I'm like, yo, this is fire. But I thought it was dope though, because it's like, let me ask y'all a question, with y'all knowledge on this world. So, do the elves have a relationship with the Ents? Right, that's what you call them, the Ents.
Ents, ENTS.
Certain elves do. I think the tree elves, the forest elves, like wouldn't know about them, and they know elves are like cool with nature, so they're just not like against them.
Yeah.
Right, because I thought it was dope to see Arondir talk him down like that. You know what I mean? Like, kind of talked him down from being so aggressive towards him. Yeah.
Well, that's why he talks to the Ent in Elvish, because, like Rose said, the elves and the Ents are totally they're fucking boys. They're homies. The elves, like, which this gets into like a lot deeper lore, but the Valar, the god who created like nature and all that stuff in Middle Earth, the elves like regard her as one of like the best of the gods. Like they like worship her a little bit more than the others. And all elves have just an inherent love for nature and things that grow, and they feel they have like a duty to protect nature and like the things that grow naturally in Middle Earth. So that's, and especially Arondir, he's what's known as a Sindar elf, and they never went to the land of the gods. They have always been in Middle Earth, and they're known as wood elves. So all elves are cool with Ents, but especially Arondir. Like he definitely's got some history with some Ents. So that's why he's able to talk to, and that's why also like the Ent kind of calms down a little bit, because she's like, oh, this dude knows Quenya. Like this dude's fucking cool, right? But yeah, I loved it. Again, our boy Treebeard. I love the Ents just in general. They're living trees, and like big thing for them is that, like Treebeard's famous catchphrase from the movies and the books is "Don't be hasty." And it's like they're just like, they move slowly. They're just kind of chilling in the forest, and their major thing is just like people cutting down trees, which is why they freak out on them, because they're like, what are these swords for? And they're like, they're for orcs, I swear. Like they're not for trees.
Right.
I thought it was dope when they asked Arondir, like, yo, have you cut a tree before? Like, have you cut a tree? He was like,
season 1, remember he had to cut that tree down, and he has to admit to, he's like, I did, man. And they're like, what?
He didn't want to. That's why it was so deep for him in season 1.
That's what I'm saying. Like the elves have like a very strong connection to nature. So in season 1, when Arondir cuts down,
I know. But now I'm saying, now it makes sense.
That's such a big moment, and that's why it affects him so much. But Rose, what did you think of the Ents? Again, you're a fan of the movie, so you love Treebeard, I'm sure, as much as everybody.
The Ents is fire. I did think it was gonna be that troll. I thought it was a troll at first, and I really want to see more of that troll. So I was expecting it to be the troll, but then when it was the Ents, I was like, this is fire. I'm curious to get your take on, how do you feel the CGI Ent was versus the more like physical Ent, like the more like what's the word I'm looking for? The more like live Ent. No, like I'm saying in terms of look, like the
Mhm.
CGI Ent look that we got more so in this one versus like how Treebird was more like the thing. What's the word I'm
More
looking for?
practical, more
More
practical.
Yeah.
practical.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the CGI was pretty fire. I think they could
Hmm.
have used a little bit of practicality in it, and it would have made it feel just a little bit more authentic. Like I just feel
Hmm.
like they should have went maybe just a little practical with CGI. I feel like, unless they did, I don't know. I feel like they
Yeah.
didn't. Like, do you feel like that was like? Do you feel like how do you feel like the look of them was?
I really enjoyed the look. I think in the Peter Jackson trilogy we get some interesting ones, but I enjoyed that they were like more like kind of like weird looking trees because
Yeah, I
Treebeard's like
did
a
think so.
very basic like tree guy, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he's
he's
just a
very
dude who's a
typical.
tree. So I like that they were like very, for lack of a better word, tree-ish. But I think the effects were good. I will say that it definitely helps that the scene takes place at night. So
I was
I
about to
think
say the
Yeah.
like
night does help.
Yeah.
some of the
Yeah.
effects that maybe aren't up to par were able to be hidden a little bit by the lighting of the scene. But
Yeah, I agree.
I think they look good. Like I said, I appreciated the again tree-ish design of them. Like the dude
I
is
like the
crazy
design.
looking.
I
The
love the
dude's
design.
crazy.
I love the design. Love
Yeah,
the design as you're saying.
and I'm really excited to see if we get some more Ents in this series because in the Twin Towers, Treebeard does say that the last time that they were roused up and riled up was when the Men of the Sea came over and fought Sauron, so which is
Mm.
what is happening right now. So
So if we get some more end battles,
dude, if Ents join the fucking battle, it's over with. I'm gonna
I'm all
freak
in on
out.
that.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
quit
I'm
this
all in
show
on
and
that.
just go off and live my life happily, right off into the sunset, because that would
So
be
down.
absolutely awesome. But we're running out of
Agree.
time here, unfortunately, so we got to get to our last point and how this episode kind of wraps up. But we get back to the Elven Company. They come across Adar and the orcs, realize that they are going to Eregion. So basically Galadriel sends Elrond and the rest of the elves to go back to Linden, tell Gil-galad that Eregion's about to get screwed, and Galadriel gives Elrond her ring, which I thought was a super big thing, and we get another really great action sequence. Galadriel kicking ass, fighting
Yes, she
orcs
is.
with the bow, putting them on fire, jumping on a horse. Like it was, again, going off the Burrow White scene, that was a fantastic action sequence. I think that this one with Galadriel might even be a little better. The
Yeah, wait,
choreography, super
yeah.
smooth.
Mhm. Yeah.
Jose, I'll throw it off to you first. What did you think of this action scene with Galadriel and her giving Elrond her ring and Elrond taking it? Because we just talked about in the beginning of this episode how
Right.
he is like super against the ring.
I love it. I love it. I love how it just sneaks up on you. You're thinking the episode's over. I like Elrond taking the ring and being like, we kind of might still need this thing though, for real. Like I'm peeping, we might need this thing. And then I love the action sequence with her going ham on them. She's shooting the arrows, she's throwing fire, she's slicing them up, she's dodging on the horse. Like I'm like she just took out like 10, 20 by herself. Like she's nice like that. Like I love it. This is what I was talking about with like House of Dragons, Game of Thrones. Like it's not a crazy long scene, but it's just enough, and it's with your one character. Like you don't need major battle sequences every time to give me a little excitement. Like so, I just feel like that was such a perfect, and the way it ended with Adar, and I'm just like, oh man, I feel like I feel like this episode was great, and this is the most filler it's gonna be from here because there's only 4 more episodes, so it's just about to be we're about to be back at Khazad-dûm. We got the Balrog coming. Like we got Gandalf coming. Like Sauron. It's gonna get so crazy. It's gonna be fire. Loved it. Great
So
scene.
crazy. Yeah. Zen, what'd you think of this fight scene with Galadriel? And again, like her not only giving up the ring, but Elrond accepting the ring.
I thought it was dope, man. The fight scene again. Galadriel's such a badass, bro, in this show. Like
For
even
real.
from season one,
Yeah.
like they just been giving her some crazy shit to do, and like that was no different with that fight scene, man. I was like, uh, she was going crazy, and I knew that's where it was going to end it. Like we got to the end of that scene, and I'm like, damn, this is over, huh? Like this is the end of the episode. But no, I liked it a lot. And I think it's interesting with Elrond taking the ring, and because I know he ain't want to do it, but we gotta protect. We gotta, that's the power. We gotta protect the power. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
I thought it was dope, man. I have no man. This episode, so far, it might be my favorite of this season. So far, we only 4 episodes in, but I love this. I love this episode so much. It was a good job.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think this is my favorite of the 4 so far. And to Rose's point, I also totally agree that, Galadriel is just such a fucking badass. And shout out
Oh,
Morfydd Clark,
fire.
who is killing it in the role. I think she's able to
I think so
portray
too.
a lot of different emotions. Again, like she's coming from being very headstrong and aggressive in season 1, and we talked about kind of the changes in her character. I think she's playing that very, very well. It's not like a drastic change, it's very subtle, like we're
Yeah.
slowly kind of seeing it. But
The ring giving her the
Maybe,
yes,
yeah, no, for
yeah,
sure.
no, low key, the ring's got a lot of power for sure. And again, to Rose's point, I also really love, I feel like this is the moment where Elrond, like you said, kind of realizes, oh, maybe we do kind of need this, right? Like I might have been a little, I think he was remembering what Círdan told him in last episode of how he
right.
shouldn't be, these rings are with your friends, like they're not with your enemy. So
Right.
I loved that. Again, I think it shows both growth of Galadriel and Elrond. That brings us to the end of this episode, which we all said, it's one of our favorites of the 3, if not our favorite. So I want to ask you guys before we get out of here. We talked about a lot of great moments in this
We actually missed
episode.
a plot point real quick,
Yeah, please.
but we missed a one real quick actually. But
Mm-hmm.
this was actually the worst for me because we forgot about it. That's how bad it was. The girl and Isildur, the little
Oh,
romance.
yeah. I actually did want to bring that up. Yes, so please go.
That just that's terrible for me. We did not. He's one of the on the acting sides. Like he's on the lower end of the scale, in my opinion. Like there's a couple weak points in the acting for me, but it's not crazy. But he's one of them. That whole scene with her and she pulls the sword, I was like, that was so typical. We've seen that like 1,000 times. Like,
Betrays
and then
them immediately. Twice.
yeah, yeah.
Twice.
And then at the end of the episode, he's like, but I would still like hook up with you. So I think this could work. I need this. Like, I was like, nah. Like, I want the guy for one time to just be like, nah, and just like throw her out, get her out of here. Like, yeah. So that's
Yeah,
that. We can move on.
I gotta say, I'm not the biggest fan of Estrid either. I mean, I don't like hate her character or anything, but yeah, the whole like romance between her and Isildur does not.
Damsel in distress.
Yeah, doesn't really interest me too much. And like I said, I just think like she's a funny character at this point because like she again just like betrays them immediately, like twice, 2 times. She's just like, nah,
She
fuck
did
you
save their
guys.
lives. She did save their
Yeah,
lives.
she did save him, but then again, like immediately after, she's just like, nope, fuck, like pulls the sword on him. Zen, what do you agree with us with S, or are you like, are you
Yeah, it
shipping
was like
Isildur and
it
Estrid?
nah. It was one of my least favorite parts, but it gave us good moments though. I will say that. Like
Right.
we got some good moments out of the episode because of her and some of the wild stuff they was doing. Like when the tree came through and just swiped her out of nowhere, bro. I'm like, hold up, what's going on? Like
I
that
thought
dude
she
you
was
got took me
dead.
for the loop.
I thought she was
Dog,
dead.
me too. I'm like,
Yeah,
yo, ain't
I
no way you
thought
living after you
Loki
got hit
too.
like that. Like, you
She
know
got
what?
up. She was like, I'm
You
like, nah, ain't
definitely
No
no
have
way.
way.
some broken ribs after that.
Broken ribs
Nah,
at
for sure, for
least.
sure. And I felt bad for my guy at the end because you see he was trying to go in for the kiss, and she got a whole dude came up. I'm like,
Oh
damn, like
yeah, yeah, that was funny.
she been
Yeah.
betraying y'all the whole show. This is
Yeah.
crazy.
And with Isildur too, like you don't know, but his character is gonna end up being very major, and I am looking at the subtle details to see how they're portraying how he's like more like on the jealous, envious, like petty tip. Like I'm expecting to see a lot of little things like that from his character.
Very impulsive, I would say.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
very impulsive to make decisions, and we see not so. I mean, he's kind of trapped in Middle Earth now, but again, people who know the movies kind of know where he's going. We see in season 1 he has this kind of innate desire to like explore, right? Like he's
yeah,
constantly looking over the horizon to Middle Earth. He talks about in this episode how he, wanted to come to Middle Earth because he heard there was, crazy thing, adventures out there and everything. So yeah, like I don't know if I would agree. He's one of the weakest what's it called performances, which I will agree with. Like there's so many great ones. I mean, definitely kind of falls under, but I think he's still good. But I do like how they're like again like portraying his character. Again,
yeah.
knowing where he ends up, we
Because
see
like
these kind of
when the guy walks up and he like walks away, all like he was like yo, like he was like kill him right there type shit. Shawty,
Facts.
like
yeah, like you
And
yeah,
you
said,
see,
like
jealousy for sure.
no,
yeah.
facts.
It's
You
like
can
he
see Randor
wanted
kind
you.
of peeped it too. Like he seen it. He
Yeah,
was like, "Oh, okay, I see you. Which type time you want? Like, yeah, you wanted
right.
her, huh?" But yeah, crazy.
A
Yeah,
great
the
episode. I'm looking forward to this ride, the next four.
Me
Isildur is
too.
down bad with Estrid. Like I said, I kind of hope that gets wrapped up a little bit. But ending this off again, I think we've went through everything in this episode. Fantastic episode. But I want to ask you guys before we get out of here, Rose. I know you probably have something for this, but do you guys got any theory? I love a good theory. I love a good juicy speculation. So you guys got any theories about, maybe specific character, what we might see moving forward? Rose, I'll throw it off to you first on this one.
All right. I mean, I probably alluded, but I guess theories for me are we got Gandalf confirmed. The Dark Wizard is Sauron. I think I think we're gonna get a lot of this troll. This troll's gonna go crazy. I want to see this troll go crazy this season and do some crazy troll things. I want to see the kids get kidnapped by the Dark Wizard and Gandalf saves them. I think that's coming, and there's definitely gonna be a crazy battle sequence. One major super crazy one, and then probably a couple other smaller. But I'm excited to see this battle sequence that I know we're gonna get. Like it, I'm pumped. I think it's gonna go crazy. I think all rings will be forged by the end of this season, and Sauron will be headed his way over to Mordor to corrupt some orcs and build up an army. Make the One Ring type shit.
Yeah, we got 9 left, technically 10, including the one, but I agree with you in all regards. Again, I'm still standing on Blue Wizard. So that's again, I feel like I want to save that for a later episode to really dive into that whole thing. But Zen, you got any theories? You got any again good juicy speculations? Or
I
I'll
don't.
ask you, since like you're very new to this world, it based off what you've seen right now, like your favorite characters, is there anything that you hope to see like in the upcoming episodes, or something that you hope, like kind of like Rose said, like he hopes the Nori and Poppy get taken by the Dark Wiz? Like, do you have
Mhm.
anything hopes that you want to see moving forward?
Yeah,
He'll be
no,
rescued.
definitely
Frodo can
some
be
hope.
rescued.
No, for sure. Definitely some hopes. And I agree with you on that. Get Nori and Poppy getting taken by the Dark Wizard. That's a good little catalyst point to kind of push the stranger into like his new path because he's gonna have to go save them. So I
He's
would
gonna have to
actually like to
use
see
yeah.
that. Exactly. I would like to see that. I want to see a crazy wizard fight, yo. I think that would be dope.
Yes.
Ooh,
Crazy
yes.
wizard fight. Yeah,
Ooh,
stranger versus dark wizard. That would be hard.
that would be
Um,
fire. Okay,
and
I
what
like
else do I want to see, man? That's my biggest one, bro. Everything else, I'm like, I'm just taking it for what it is. But like, I love that Nori Poppy Stranger storyline, and I just
it.
really want to see where that's gonna go. You know what I mean? For sure.
I want to get another song from Poppy. That's what I want. I'm waiting for another Poppy classic, dude. That's what I'm hoping for next episode. But that brings us to the end of this episode. If you all enjoyed this, please consider giving us a like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Make sure that you go subscribe and follow Agents of Fandom on all of our socials. Agents Fandom on Twitter and TikTok. Agents of Fandom pretty much everywhere else. Also, be sure to go over to Listen 3000, Zen's podcast, and subscribe, like, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff that you do on YouTube. And my man Rose, where can the people find you? Let them know what you got going on, where they can find you.
What's poppin'? If you made it this far, you're a fan. Appreciate you. Liam Rose everywhere. Liam.Rose everywhere. I do a little bit of everything. Yeah, peace. Enjoy. Appreciate you.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you, my friend. Hopefully, we can get you on another episode before we end off this season. And again, I'll just end this off. If, again, like and subscribe really helps out the channel. Go also check out our website. We have news, reviews, everything that you need in entertainment. We basically got you covered. I got breakdowns of all episodes of the Rings of Power up there right now, the first 4 at least. And that's going to be all we have for you. And we will see you next week.